Debrief this Tuesday, the 6th of September. Overnight we had Europe pretty much follow US's Friday market action there on the result of the non-farm payrolls numbers. So pretty well down across the board, probably a little bit more in terms of percentage terms if we look here at the Dow down 2.2. We've got some of the Europeans down twice that amount, so a little bit of a case there of US catching or sneezing and everyone else catching pneumonia in this case. The other thing that's coming up onto the radar here is this High Court decision in Germany regarding the validity of the bailout money that's been forthcoming by the German government. And they're certainly saying that the Germans, or concluding that the Germans are pretty well fed up with this ongoing process of feeding the pigs, if you like. So we saw actually the sixth regional election defeat by of Angela Merkel. In fact, in her former Eastern Germany heartland, just there on Sunday. So the numbers there were down some 23%. So she's saying it's not the result of this, but it seems the Germans have finally had enough. They've paid their penance rather for the sins of World War II, and they're just not really prepared to carry the rest of all those parts of Europe that seem to have become reliant on it. So anyway, that's subject to interpretation, I guess, but that certainly seems to be the way things are headed. So let's just have a look at the rest of these indices here. The rest of the Americas that were trading there, Mexico down 3.57 and Brazil down 2.71. So reasonably big moves there. Pretty similar or much in line with our market move here, down 2.38. Ultimately, just ending up down in triple digits. The Hang Seng a little bit more, and the Nikkei a little less at 1.86. And then the futures in our region this morning are, if I can just find them, okay, a little more subdued, down 80 on the Nikkei, 523 on the Hang Seng, so a bit more there, and a little bit more subdued here, about half yesterday's move lower, down 52 points to 4,093. Let's move on and have a look at what's happening in the commodities space. Big move down in crude last night, down $2.85. We're down at 83.60. We're actually getting back down towards our potentially buy zone around the $80 mark. We know we have our stop losses. If you've been looking at the Barrett's Bulletin or the CBS Bulletin, there you'd have a pretty good idea of the trading range that we think is appropriate there. I've also got natural gas here, just coming up slightly at $3.85. Just really failing to capitalise on any sort of gains here, or even the storms that have been blowing up through that part of the world just don't seem to be having any effect at all, unfortunately. Looking down at the softs here, a lot of the grains had a pretty solid move up. Let's just have a look at some of those now. Canola, 0.16%. Cocoa is actually off. Coffee off as well, 0.6. Corn, though, we had a reasonably good move up there, nearly 3%. Cotton, 0.1. This is standout. Wheat up 1.91. Sugar down 1.39. And then oats up 1.93, being the standouts there. Copper down 1.54%. Gold up $26, so a really big move there. We haven't taken out that recent high up around 1920, I think it was. So until we see that get taken out, we're still trading in this range here, clearly. Silver 42.93. And then to our currencies, US dollar seemed to be pretty well bid last night. On the index, we actually saw that up around 75.20, but we'll have a look at that in a minute in the Falcon Trader. So the values there actually were euro at buying 1.4093, the pound 1.6115, and the US dollar buying 96.9250 yen, and the Aussie buying just 105.47, US dollar buying 99.03 Canadian, and the US dollar buying 0.9870 Swiss francs. So you can see a big move there against the two commodity currencies there, with the Canadian nearly back up to parity, the US dollar back up to parity against the Canadian dollar, and our dollar coming off there. Okay, so that's about it for the major numbers for last night. Let's have a look now at the economic calendar. Of course, being the first Tuesday of the month, we have the RBA rates decision. That's due out around 2:30 this afternoon. Expectation is very much that they'll keep that at the current rate of 4.75, although some analysts are predicting a 0.25% reduction, which should be reasonably supportive of our local market and should see the Aussie dollar sold off pretty aggressively if that were to come to pass. It looks like we've got some Swiss data out here for CPI, inflation numbers, and then we've got Eurozone GDP, pardon me, coming through 2.2 as expectation there, and year on year 1.7, which was the previous figure as well. It's a German factory orders before we then go into tomorrow morning and into Wednesday. Okay, let's take a look at the Falcon Trader. I think we said we'd have a look at the dollar index. Okay, so quite a solid move up here. I think Jono in previous sessions has been talking about where he, really kind of feels that there's only really one way for it to go, and it certainly looks like that's proving to be a pretty solid prediction there, with that starting to move up. Now we'll have a look at perhaps have a look at the Dow here, where we seem to be getting this continuation pattern. So if we get this length of move coming into the continuation pattern, then we might be able to see a similar sort of move on the south side down. So that would have our target for the downside on the Dow around 9,500 or thereabouts, if that pans out as a reliable indicator. Now to take a look at our own index, we've got a similar sort of pattern here, kind of. If we bring this up here a little bit and we use the same sort of rule, of we can expect the same length of movement in as we can out from the continuation, then perhaps we're looking at 3,500 as a reasonable level to consider as a target to the downside. For some reason that's not letting me scrunch that in a bit, but you'll see that if you look at that on a chart yourself, that 3,500 is an old level there of some significance. We'll just go to a weekly here and see if that helps. No, it doesn't seem to. Not really wanting to cooperate. Okay, let's move on and have a look at a couple of the stocks we've been watching. Caltex we got out of. CSL's back down, testing its recent all-time lows. So we're sort of getting a bit of a triple bottom here forming up. Perhaps there's a level here pretty soon that's worth looking at buying. Obviously we know we can have our stop loss below one of these two lows here. Dragon Mining just came into the frame recently on the VectorVest system, which is just starting to take out or challenge these recent high levels here. Has broken above this downward trend line and closed above it, so that should be reasonably positive. And they've had some pretty good production numbers as well recently, so that's reasonably encouraging. Aluka is another one that I've been watching. Haven't been doing very well out of that. Lost about $1. Actually, a little bit concerned that we might be seeing a bit of a head and shoulders formation here, and therefore we may have further downside to look at there. So probably make a decision on that today. Some of the gold stocks, things like Kingsgate, just coming off these highs here. And Medusa just putting in some consolidation here seemingly. Don't think I'd enter that right here where it is now. Zimbabwe, another one I know I've talked about. We were looking for a break above this $2.05 level of resistance, and certainly it did that quite nicely, so pretty happy with that. And then News Corp, I think I mentioned this last Thursday, that looked like quite a good short here, and that's playing out quite nicely. I'm shorting that for really no other reason than it looks like it could be a good short, and the continuing strife that they're having there and ongoing allegations do seem to be turning everyone off. Certainly more than a few shareholders, it would seem apparent. Okay, so just seeing there if there's anything else to pull up on, and I think that's about it. We did try to have a look at the index there. Let's just try the cash index and see if that comes up a bit better than the SPY there. Okay, sorry, that's the Aussie dollar. Try grabbing that again. Okay, so we're at 141.35. We can expect to come down and test this low here that was made back in August the 22nd. So that was the interim low before the August 9 big sell-off. So I think we can, on a move down to that level, we now have to decide: is that level going to hold? Do we start to look to pick up some bargains here, or do we look for a move even lower? And certainly, if we look at this continuation pattern, if that does play out, then clearly there is the possibility that we could be going and visiting not just this August low here, but 3,500 as a possible downside if things really do start to turn really nasty indeed. Let's hope that doesn't happen, and I don't think it will happen today certainly, so let's see how the day progresses. But yeah, reiterating, probably wouldn't be looking to necessarily buy anything here unless we go back down and retest that low here and we see a reversal throughout the course of the day. That may be a signal to look to pick up some stuff that's looking like good value and you don't mind hanging on to for a while. Okay, leave it at that. Until next time, bye for now.